All right, it is 11 o'clock. Time to get this show on the road. So, the Board of Light and Power in Grand Haven is hiking up the cost of residence energy. They want you to be understanding. Stuff is more expensive, so they're going to be hiking it up incrementally. We'll talk about that. Social emotional learning is all the rage. But does it do the students of Grand Haven area public schools any good, or is it more leftism in disguise? We'll discuss that. The abortion debate rages, with proponents of abortion literally spewing gibberish into our Constitution. Yeah, that's interesting. That is very interesting. We'll discuss that and the implications of that going onto the ballot. No, I already said that. I received fan mail from satisfied customers on Craigslist, so I'll be sharing those gems with you. Very well thought out responses, very in-depth analyses of my show. They've obviously watched the show and had some very good critiques for me. And finally, an activist judge decides he is the law and will not allow Michigan law to be enforced. I'm Anon Don, and this is the Holmes Politicast. All right, that grooving music you were listening to is courtesy of, some free upbeat thing. It's by Johnny Boyle. Sounds uncomfortable, but it's pretty bopping music. So, all right, we have got a lot of stuff on the show for today. So we'll start with the social emotional learning. You may hear that and you think, what's wrong with social emotional learning? Why is it a big deal? What is the big stink here? And we'll find out. So, again, we start with Restore Ottawa. They're doing some great work here in Ottawa County. They are obviously better journalists than I am. Better journalists than most of the college-educated journalists. So, they ask, what is the problem with social emotional learning? As part of a citizenry, we instinctively know that the basic needs must be met before education can take place. Those basic needs include elements such as a safe place to live and food to eat. Once those needs are met, urgent health issues followed by emotional issues must be addressed before learning can happen effectively. I think most people would agree with the idea that emotional stability is important as a precursor to learning. In addition, most people believe in helping those in unstable situations. It is likely that these widely shared beliefs have enabled the concept of social emotional learning to permeate our schools. Now, I just want to stop right here and say, yeah, we must have emotionally stable students. We can't have students going ballistic when they hear something they disagree with. We can't have students standing on desks, throwing things, knocking over chairs, running around the room. I've seen that. I've seen other behavioral issues within schools. So when children are doing that, nobody can learn. When there's a temper tantrum going on one side of the room, not only does the teacher have to address that, takes away from instruction time, but the students are affected by that. They don't escape those emotional outbursts unscathed. They can look at that and they say, well, I'm being really good, and this kid over here is getting all the attention. So we all agree that we want to help students have a stable emotional life. We want to help them be able to think critically. We want to be able to help them learn effectively. So, social emotional learning, as you can see from this handy dandy little chart here. It's it's got these outer rings, classrooms for schools, for families and caregivers, for communities, and it talks about self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. All of those things are good things. So the article continues, so what is the problem with social emotional learning anyway? According to the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, they have a definition. Now, I'm going to allow you to read this definition for yourself. It's got certain words bolded, but I'm going to read it again with other words accentuated and let you kind of see where this is going. So, if you reread the definition above but focus only on the bold words, it is difficult to see why SEL may be problematic. But stick with me and I will explain. Reread the definition again, but this time focus on a different set of bold words. We define social and emotional learning as an integral part of education and human development. SEL is the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. SEL advances educational equity and excellence through authentic school, family, community partnerships to establish learning environments and experiences that feature trusting and collaborative relationships, rigorous and meaningful curriculum and instruction, and ongoing evaluation. SEL can address various forms of inequity and empower young people and adults to co-create thriving schools and contribute to safe, healthy, and just communities. There are three elements. The article continues now. The definition is over, and I kind of accentuated some of the key ideas in there. So the article continues. There are three elements that critical race theory, queer theory, and other Marxist teachings have in common. Identity. Notice differences. The more people notice differences between themselves and others, the more they section off, the more they are able to be divided. Injustice. Connect those differences to power and privilege. You have differences not because that's just the way things are, not because your parents maybe weren't as successful. The inequity comes from injustice and activism. An important part to Marxism is being an activist, being engaged in your community, which sounds like a good thing, unless you're destroying your community and burning it to the ground as BLM and other Antifa-related organizations have done. So the article continues. The first element of critical theory involves noticing differences between groups. Groups are made of people who share traits such as race, gender, socioeconomic, hair color, skin color, religion, or age. The second element of critical theory involves analyzing groups in relationships and the way those groups have suffered or triumphed. For example, groups may be deemed to have power, privilege, persecution, or received special treatment. It doesn't matter so long as groups can be ranked against each other so that one group can be shown to have an advantage or disadvantage with respect to another group. Advantages and disadvantages that evoke the strongest emotional response are the groups that tend to receive the most focus by critical theorists. Once groups have been identified to fit a certain oppressor/oppressed dynamic, everyone is called to action to vilify or fight for those groups of people. Those elements are embedded in the lessons of social emotional learning. In practice, social emotional learning boils down to teaching psychology without a license. Most proponents of SEL believe they are doing good. After all, we all agree that emotional needs must be met before effective learning can take place. But the reality is that SEL does not fix emotional needs, but instead creates division and hurts society. Aside from the obvious problems of using valuable class time that could be spent learning reading, writing, and arithmetic to focus on SEL, what students are actually learning are the correct answers, according to Marxist theory, to emotional questions which have a social societal outcome. For example, in a social emotional lesson, students might discuss the unfairness and injustice of poverty, racism, and sexism. They may be more specific and ask, what do you think of the education students from lower socioeconomic areas receive during COVID as compared to wealthier districts? Then they discuss what actions they can take to reduce inequalities, steps 2 and 3 above. These types of questions discussed with children do not improve the emotional health of individual children. Now, I'm just going to stop right there. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to read the next paragraph because that's kind of important. In addition, when students are given the, quote, correct answers to these moral questions, they typically learn that their parents do not know the correct answers. Therefore, they must turn toward the experts in regards to those issues. Marxism is being taught to our children under the guise of social emotional learning because it sounds helpful, and the public doesn't truly understand the goals of the teachings and has not viewed the lessons. Now, I'm just going to read the last paragraph. We're almost done. The sad part is that teachers and administrators everywhere are being tricked into believing that social emotional learning is essential for student mental health. They believe they are helping students when they discuss these topics. It is critical that we as citizens, teachers, administrators, and parents take the time to truly understand these things before implementing them in the classroom. So, we looked at a lot of elements of the social emotional learning. We haven't seen any specific lesson plans from them, but I have seen the effects of this. It does not seem that students are becoming more able to engage with their society. They are becoming less able to engage. When you go to a college campus, as a conservative, you will get screamed at, you will get shouted down, you will have people just madder than a hornet if you dare to say anything that may be construed as conservative. And this extends to them eating their own as well. They will hear somebody that doesn't quite align with them, but is in their party, and they'll think, oh, you're a conservative, you're a racist, you're a bigot. Now, obviously, the outcome of our society, as this social emotional learning is implemented more and more, is kind of detrimental to the claim that it is good. We can look at students becoming more unstable and see that this teaching is not good. We can also look at the teaching itself. We can look at the idea of putting on children the burdens of the world. Children don't need the burdens of the world on their shoulders. They don't need to be recruited to fight for social justice, whatever the heck that means. Children need to be children. They need to learn to read, to write. They need to learn to discuss, yes, hard topics, but they should not be told that their parents are wrong when it comes to how society should be run. That is not a teacher's job. A teacher's job is not to tell a parent or a child of a parent that their parent is wrong. The teacher's job is to teach the lesson plan. The lesson plan should not include social emotional learning. All right. So I want to thank Restore Ottawa once again for the great work that they're doing within Grand Haven area public schools, just getting the word out about what's going on there. So Fred Wazolik is taking to Twitter, and he's pretty good. He's got good takes on a lot of things. He is from, let me check real quick. Let's see, Strategy Works Agency. So I think he's a Republican strategist, is what I believe he is. So he says a bad day for the rule of law in Michigan. Left-wing Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson clearly turned the screws on her staff. First, the Bureau of Elections recommended that the fatally flawed abortion constitutional amendment be put on the ballot. Despite its 60 typos and long strings of gibberish, it relied on a phony affidavit from a printer saying that there were invisible spaces between the words. Then the Bureau recommended approval of the Promote the Vote constitutional amendment, despite it having plainly misled petition signatures by not informing them that their proposal would force the state to allow incarcerated felons to vote. The people of Michigan take amending their constitution very seriously, far more seriously than the sponsors of these petitions. Both proposals will be defeated if placed on the ballot, but members of the Board of State Canvassers should take their oaths to office seriously and reject these flawed proposals. So, we've got two proposals on the ballot, potentially, for November. Fred is claiming that they will both fail, which is good. This Promote the Vote constitutional amendment, we might look at that. Yeah, I think we will look at that one. So we're going to start with the abortion constitutional amendment because, wow, you've got to see this. You're not going to believe what passes for legislation in our state. So, there we go. Get it right side up. The state shall not penalize, prosecute, or otherwise take adverse action against an individual based on their actual, potential, perceived, or alleged pregnancy outcomes, including but not limited to miscarriage, stillbirth, abortion, nor shall the state penalize, prosecution, or otherwise take adverse actions against someone for aiding or assisting pregnant individual in exercising their right to reproductive freedom with their voluntary consent. Now, if you're an audio listener, you're like, what is he doing? Gosh, he has gone off the deep end. Well, my friends, I have been off the deep end for a very long time, but I am reading the constitutional amendment that Jocelyn Benson rammed through. That string of what I just said was all one word, no spaces. Obviously, you can make out the words. You can, if you want to parse through all this, you can tell where words end and words begin. You know, we as humans have the ability to look at things and separate out what shouldn't be there. So this isn't the biggest deal in the world. However, we have had constitutional amendments struck down for a single misspelled word. We have had constitutional amendments struck down for poor wording in some cases. The judge or whoever is looking at this just doesn't like the wording. Says it's confusing. Now, if those things can be struck down just for a misspelled word or a confusing wording, why is this, with its long string of words with no spaces, allowed to be put on the ballot? I'll tell you why. Because Democrats funded it. Democrats spent a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money, printing all these out. Then they figured out that there was a bunch of words without spaces in between them. So you go down to the definition of fetal viability, and it's all crammed together again. The point of pregnancy when in the professional judgment of the attending healthcare professional and based on the particulars of the case, there is a significant likelihood of the fetus sustaining survival outside the uterus without the application of extraordinary medical measures. It's all one word. Now, this is what passes for constitutional amendments in Michigan. The people that are supposed to be making sure that amendments like this don't come into the ballot for a vote are not going to reject this, because in doing so, they would be draining tons of money from their own party. They would have to, were this to be rejected, they would have to reprint it, all of them, go out and gather signatures, do all of this work again, and they just don't think they can do it before the November election. That's why this is being allowed through. Is it right? Certainly not. Now, if this ballot or if this proposal is voted on and approved, this had better go in the Constitution as written, because that would just be great. No spaces, no nothing, just a string of letters. Will it? Probably not. They'll probably fix it. They'll say, oh, we don't need to do all that, getting things correct, because that would be very expensive, and we're the ones in power. So, Jocelyn Benson ramming this proposal through, allowing it to be on the ballot, despite its obvious flaws. Yeah, we are run by people that I'm not sure should be in charge. All right. So, I don't usually talk about national things, but I'm just going to talk about this real quick. So, Biden is threatening to take away school lunches for schools that will not allow boys in the girls' locker room. So, this is a Title IX initiative. Now, Title IX has far too much power. Title IX needs to go away. But Title IX says that school districts will have to allow transgender boys into girls' locker rooms, bathrooms, showers, and sleeping quarters in order to keep federal funds for lunches, breakfasts, and snacks. Now, what do school lunches have to do with transgender men in the girls' locker room? Well, nothing. It's just a political club. Just like most other things that the Democrats do. It's not linked. They're just trying to ram through their agenda. So, Biden has done other things that are maybe not super popular lately. By the way, thank you, America, for paying for my tuition. That is so kind of you. You have elected this generous man to take office and to give me lots of money, lots of taxpayer money, and I am certainly going to skip the country before all that comes back out of my taxes, because that is a stupid decision. I don't think it's going to go through, but the fact that Democrats just throw anything at a wall and whatever sticks they're happy with, it kind of blows my mind that they get away with this, and the media just go along with them, salivating like lap dogs the entire way. Shameless plug. If you like media that doesn't salivate after your government like a bunch of lap dogs, right here, subscribe, push the bell, get your notifications. Until I am kicked off of YouTube, I will continue to bring you A+ content. Well, I don't know if it's A+ content. My best effort content, and I am going to try to continue to keep you informed on what's going on here in Ottawa County and around West Michigan. So, we continue. Power is going up. Grand Haven Tribune, Mr. Jared Lietzau writes that the cost of powering our lives is going up from last year to this year. The Grand Haven Board of Light and Power electricity purchase costs have increased by more than $1 million, the municipality utility states. Last year, the Board of Light and Power spent $1,576,357 for power. This year, it is $589,754. General Manager Dave Walter says. That's a 64% increase. I've been trying to keep you abreast of what's been going on, Walters told the utility's board of directors at a recent meeting. I am trying to keep everyone in the public understanding, but this is an astronomical increase in cost. To make up some of the difference, the Board of Light and Power will begin charging customers more for their electricity use. The change will begin next month, and the increase won't happen all at once. Walters says it will be a 12-month rolling increase, which means electric rates will increase incrementally over the course of a year. The difference between us and all the utilities right now is that all the utilities have been doing this for the last 12 months. Walters said, "We are starting in September, and we are well behind the energy crisis. Our customers are starting to see this at the gas pump. What they've seen on their gas bills, what they've seen on all their bills, they're going to start seeing on their electric bill." However, Board of Light and Power customers shouldn't panic, Walters says. Not all of the additional costs are being passed on to customers. According to numbers shared by the utility, Board of Light and Power's customer rates could increase by up to 10% by this time next year. So, your power is getting more expensive. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can go back to shows earlier than when Joe Biden was elected. And I can find me saying that the price of everything is going to go up. Everything. Your energy, your gas, your food, anything that is transported by gas is going to go up as the gas prices go up. Coal going up. More government restrictions on coal burning plants raises your prices. So, I don't think I have any particular insight on this. I don't think I have anything particularly witty to say. But let's go Brandon. So, yeah, that's where we're sitting. Brandon has gotten our gas prices way up, and he is not going to be letting up. Okay, now we go to the Lanthorn. Yes, they're back. They have been back in session this month. Now, the editorial board wants you to know that monkeypox is a really bad thing. I don't think I'm going to read all of this because the Lanthorn is just insufferable. But we'll give it a shot. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, emerges the looming presence of monkeypox, a rare disease caused by infection with the monkeypox virus as defined by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Wow. Caused by infection with the monkeypox virus. I'm so glad they threw that definition in there. I'd have never known. With the emergence of another primarily unknown disease, how the wider community is reacting can range from preventative measures like vaccines, educated caution, or apathy from the toll of working through COVID-19 precautions throughout the past 3 years. So they're saying that people are actually going to get vaccines, or, you know what? I support educated caution. I think you should not participate in orgies because that's how this is primarily spreading. The framing by the media on monkeypox can potentially shape how the public views this virus. You're right. So they're admitting that they can potentially shape how you view the virus. They did that for the past couple of years. They tried their best to shape the students' opinions on the coronavirus. They continue, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Some symptoms of the virus. Oh, you know what? I don't care about symptoms because I'm never going to get it because I don't have sex with dudes. Symptoms typically occur within the first 3 weeks. Oh, and transmission can occur multiple ways, including bodily fluids, skin contact, and respiratory droplets. Oh, can it? Well, I think that there's a study that's out that said that it was something like 99% of people that get it Oh, okay, so the CDC does have a bunch of ridiculous things up here. They say that direct contact with monkeypox, rash, scabs, or bodily fluids. CDC doesn't say that it's spread by gay orgies, obviously. Oh, this direct contact can happen during intimate contact, including oral, anal, and vaginal sex, or touching the genitals or anus of a person with monkeypox. Hugging, massaging, and kissing, prolonged face-to-face contact, touching fabrics and objects during sex that were used by a person with monkeypox and that have not been disinfected, such as bedding towel, fetish gear, and sex toys. So, even the CDC admits that this is primarily a gay orgy thing. Lanthorn can't go there. And, they do go there, partially. Health officials are urging a reduction of interactions as 99% of infections are amongst men, and 95% of those patients stated they have had relations with other men. However, this coverage is leading to the misconception about how the virus spreads and concerns about how it could be framing the virus as something that only affects men who have sex with men. Many worry that the virus will be a tool in villainizing and ostracizing members of the LGBTQAI plus minus divided sign GBNT community, similar to the AIDS crisis in the 1980s. So they do go there. Although the spread is currently recorded at a higher rate in groups of men having sex with men, presenting the threat of the spread of the virus as intrinsic to a specific group or action can be misleading. Now, what they mean to say is, although the spread is currently recorded at a astronomical rate in groups of men having sex with men, as you can see, 99% of infections amongst men, and 95% of those, what is that, like 93% of the people that have it? Yeah, there are higher rates in groups of men having sex with men, but that's not the cause, people, because we wouldn't want to, make gay people feel bad. There's your public university. Hard at work, bringing you the facts. All right. And for some reason, their comments are not working. You can go to their comments, and comments are closed. It says they've got 101 of them, but it says that on every article now. So bravo, Lanthorn. Misleading the public once again. And your website's broken. So that's a huge plus. Now, I have been getting some fan mail. That's right. Your favorite talk show host, Anon Don, is getting the fan mails. So, I'm going to start with the best ones here, and we'll work back to that one that you just saw me scroll past. So, we have Roger Elliott responded to my my Craigslist post. You're doing Putin's work for him, dumbass. Well, Roger Elliott, I am sure that Putin's first goal is to have precinct delegates that support America and want America to flourish. I'm sure that's his very first priority. So, yes, I am doing Putin's work. Thank you for that glowing review. Jim Reed, he says, I'd love to see all the teachers walk out. Well, so would I, Jim. So would I. Using teachers and school boards to push your fascist agenda. Yup, white schools only. Texas banned the Bible. Maybe you should jump on that wagon too. And Florida, already a fascist state, banned the dictionary. Did you know that? They banned the dictionary. Just hate-filled fascist. Send Republicans to the moon to start a new colony. Your fascist colony you so badly want. Well, Jim Reed, thank you for that. Excellent, excellent take. You can tell that this has been well thought out because he speaks in complete sentences. He says things that are totally true, like Florida banning the dictionary. That is totally true, 100% accurate. You will find that reporting by none other than the illustrious Jim Reed. And Texas banned the Bible. Man, you get some weird people on Craigslist. Bryce Wood says, good news, you're still an effing bloated gas bag, and we still don't want your effing opinion on this GD effing Craigslist. Well, Bryce Wood. That is quite the statement, and I will take that deeply, deeply to heart. All right. I do have one that from somebody that doesn't hate me. He says, keep posting no matter how many times it gets flagged. We need more people to do what you are doing. Thank you. So that was the only positive one I've had so far. Very, very good stuff there from Craigslist. I'm so glad we've got such a cohesive community here in Grand Rapids, and that we can really come together and talk like intelligent human beings about the issues that really matter. All right. We have no more things for you today. So that will be all of the things that I have for you. If you like what you're seeing, if you want other people to see it, go ahead and hit that subscribe. Hit the bell. I don't know, maybe it's up here. Hit the bell, hit the subscribe. Make sure that you're sharing this with other people that you think would be interested in seeing what is going on here in Ottawa County. Listen, we can't know what's going on without people bringing all these things to light. Restoring Ottawa Substack is doing a great job of it. I'm doing what I can. I kind of suck, but I'm doing what I can. So if you know of anybody else doing it, I'd love to hear from them. If you would like to recommend that I talk to somebody, put it in the comments, because I want to hear from the public. Other media channels, they take what politicians say and they blast it at you until you believe what they're saying. They just blah, 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 believe the politician. I don't want to be that. I want to take what you have to say. I want to bring it to the politicians. So, with that, I want to thank you guys once again for joining me. I am Anon Don. This is the Holmes Politicast.